Hello everybody and welcome back to the video. In today's video we are going to be taking a look at the GOAT of the game, the best Smash Ultimate player in the world, and that is of course Mkleo. He is on another level than everyone else. Everything he does is so clean, and I have picked 5 things today that I think make him exceptional and a level above the rest. So the first one is going to be his spacing. I'm not going to spend as much time on it because I think most people are fairly aware of how good Leo's spacing is. But the TLDR of it is every single time there's like a tip or hitbox, he's probably going to hit it. If he needs to overshoot, he's going to correctly overshoot every single time. Almost every hitbox that can be safe on shield is safe on shield because he's placing his moves so well. The next reason is going to be his fear factor, plus he doesn't really have that fear factor against him. And what I mean by that is he doesn't get nervous, or at least in his gameplay, he doesn't get nervous. There has been so many tournaments that it is Leo in the Grand Finals versus someone, and they lose the Grand Finals against Leo because they do something stupid, they go for a risky option because they want to close it out, and he punishes them perfectly. Every single time it feels like Leo loses, it's because the opponent did something good, not because he did something bad. Which I think is so important to point out. Because you have to outplay Leo to beat Leo. You can't wait for him to mess up, because he doesn't get nervous, and he plays optimally almost every single time, so it's not really going to happen. And that is something that is so good for his consistency, and also just, again, when you're the best and you don't pick the bad options, it really does help, because you're almost always picking the best options, and it makes him so good, it makes him very consistent, and it makes beating him incredibly hard because you almost have to outplay him every single time. He makes so little mistakes, it's actually unreal. And part of that is, again, at least in his gameplay, he does not get nervous at all. He is almost always playing at that same top level of player. There are so many players in this game that it is evident when they are playing well and when they are playing bad, and Leo, it's barely visible because he's almost always playing well. The next reason is going to be his character pool. Now, I know a lot of people are like, he should just use Joker, he should just use Byleth. Some people are like, he should just use Aegis, whatever. The fact that he plays so many characters at a super high top level is so important for a couple reasons. One, it allows him to counterpick main, which he is doing right now, which I think is incredibly important, because it just lets him avoid his bad matchups. But more importantly, I think Leo understands the game better than almost anyone in the world, because he has so much experience with so many different characters at a top level. For example, Leo has won 6 majors with 6 different characters, and that means he's used the character to win the major. He's won it with Joker, he's won it with Byleth, he's won it with Corrin, Lucina, Ike, and then Aegis as well, which is crazy. That is so insane. And then he's also used Rob and Marth at a super high level as well. And then technically he won a major with Marth because Summit 2, but I don't really want to count that. But you get my point. He has played at least 8 characters at an incredibly top level, and that just shows that 1, his game sense is amazing, and 2, his fundies are amazing, which I guess are the same thing. But he understands the game so well. He's not relying on a character. A lot of people that play this game, they're like, okay, let's say I have 3,000 hours in the game. Probably a majority of the cast, or majority of people that play the game, will have half of those hours, if not more, on just one character. So they understand their character really well, but do they understand the game, or do they understand the character? Because Leo, he clearly understands the game. And honestly, every top player does, but I think Leo does more than anyone else because he has played the game through so many different lenses. Most of them are swordsmen, which I think does make his spacing incredible as well, because he's always playing these spacing-esque characters. But he has that top level experience against so many different players with so many different archetypes of swordsmen, like slow swordsmen, fast swordsmen, these medium speed ones, these really quick ones like Joker where you go under things, the slow ones like Byleth with your heavy hitboxes. He has been playing at so many different tempos at a top level that it allows him to not only shift to your tempo really well because he knows how to do it because he's been forced to play at different tempos, but it also allows him to have all these mix-up where it's if I need to slow down, I can slow down really easily. If I need to speed up, I can speed up really easily because I have all that experience, again, playing these different characters. And again, counterpick maining is really important in this game, and he is probably the best in the world at it right now, because Proto isn't a counterpick main, by the way. He is something else. And the fourth reason is going to be his movement. This kind of goes into his spacing, but I had to make them their own sections because they're just so crazy. And this was definitely the most evident with his Joker, and it's arguably the best thing about him. He is so hard to hit, so I need you to pile up. He's the hardest player in the world to hit. He is incredibly calm all the time, and he spaces incredibly well. Now try to beat that in a last stock situation. Game 5, you're both at 150, and you're playing against someone that just doesn't shield, doesn't trap themselves in the corner, but will just run under your hitbox. They will run back, they'll run forward, they will perfectly put themselves in a position to punish you without cornering themselves in the corner, without putting themselves in shield. Like, Leo's movement allows him to avoid a ton of situations where you feel trapped, because when you're in shield, your options are limited. When you're running around, you have access to everything. And Leo is more often than not running around to avoid moves instead of just shielding them. And obviously he places his shield well. Of course, I'm not saying he never shields, but the amount of times that Leo will just like go under a hitbox or go forward, like go past it, is to win a tournament. Honestly, it's unreal. The movement that he plays is so good, and then also at the lower percents, it's incredibly hard to hit him. And he slingshots a ton, which is really important because not everyone slingshots. And by not everyone, I mean basically nobody slingshots. Leo is by far the best player in the world with slingshots, and I think it helped him a ton at Ludwig's. Like, it was a little shaky at the start. I mean, we made a whole video about it, but it was a little shaky at the start, but like the improvement is so clear. And when he's moving with a character like Byleth, who is incredibly slow, mobility is by far the worst thing about him, and he is still super hard to hit, even with this lack of movement, because he is slingshotting everywhere. Everything, again, is spaced really well. So like he moves his body to space, obviously, because that's how you space, but he moves his body to space, and then it's putting him in these positions where he has such a huge advantage. He's slingshotting to get everywhere really quickly. He's like getting out of disadvantage really well. It's just like, it's so hard to pin Leo down, the hardest in the world to pin down, and it gives him a very big edge in a lot of situations. And the final thing that I want to talk about, and this is probably not the most important, but I'm going to phrase it like it's the most important because I just think it's really cool about his play, and that is going to be the Schrodinger's hitbox. So, if you don't know what I mean by that, that's perfectly normal because I don't think a lot of people do. I'm going to show you, okay, let me pause this set. I'm going to show you two clips here. Sorry, my mic cut, but as I was saying, Schrodinger's hitbox, and I'm going to show you two examples right here, basically just means I am throwing out this incredibly strong option, or I am not. I am going to go for this hard read, or I'm not going to go for this hard read. And Leo does this the best out of anyone in the world. And I think the two characters that he was the best with, Joker, Byleth, are very good for this example. I'll just let this set play for now. But we have Joker, who has, Arsene, and then Leo, who has down air, up B, both forward air and back air, and down smash to shield break. He has two shield breakers. I mean, kind of three, because back air is kind of strong, but you get my point. He has these incredibly strong options that he throws out. Like, let's say he's playing optimal 90% of the time, then 9% of the time he's going for these crazy reads, like throwing out these insane hitboxes, and then 1% he's playing like a normal top 10 player because, like, hey, he has to lose tournaments somehow. I don't know. I have to fit the percentage in there somehow. But the point is, Leo is super scary because in the back of your mind when you're playing him, you always have to be aware that he could just kill you at an unironic, unexaggerated any percent. Unless you're at like 0, you're probably fine. But if you're at like 50 or 30 against Byleth or Joker with Arsene, there is not only a chance you could die, there's a high chance you could die. Because he'll either go for a hard read, he'll go for a reaction that's insane. Like, there's so many ways that he finds this setup. And the amount of tournaments, again, that Leo has won from these incredibly, like, just seems like he's going for these Hail Marys, but it's not a Hail Mary. It's like a Hail Mary, like, because a Hail Mary is like, yo, I'm just going for it. It's like a Hail Mary, but like I'm planning it for like 9 months in a lab, and everything is calculated. It's like a perfect heist. Like, these moves are so hard to avoid all the time, and it's like these really committal moves. Like that air dodge, for example, like that Esam did, that should never have worked because that is like a bad air dodge objectively. Like, he never should have done that. You just drift away and you literally get punished by nothing. But Esam is scared because, like, as we talked about earlier, you get scared when you play against Leo. It's hard not to. That's why people that do really well against him are people that have, like, no nerves, like Spargo, like Glutony when he plays against him for some reason. That it's unreal. But it's like this crazy option that's like, why would he go for this? And then he hard reads you and he kills you at 50 and he gets himself back in the lead. That is why you see Leo make an incredible amount of comebacks and win an incredible amount of, like, scary situations, because he is, like I said, bringing it all together now. He is moving around you super hard. He is spacing his moves really well, so it's hard to punish him. He is not nervous at all. He is, like, he could be on any character, which is, like, hardest one to wrap in. I tried. And then you have to be aware of these normal kill confirms that he has and these super strong hitboxes. Even if you're, like, if he's at 120 and you're at 50, that game is even, and you can't say that about most players in the world, but you can always say that Leo is in a game because, again, he can throw out that dang Schrodinger's hitbox, and I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's something that I missed, please let me know down below. If you think, like, hey, I think Leo's jumping is incredible, I could probably see it. His jumping probably is insane, but these are just the 5 things that at least I have picked up on while watching his play. That is just unworldly. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to sub, all that yada yada. The support has meant the world to me lately, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.